Today we will talk about pituitary gland. Pituitary gland, it is our master gland. It is a pea-sized gland, very small, and it weighs around 0.5 grams. Pituitary gland, it basically rests over the hypophyseal fossa of the sphenoid bone and it surrounds the sella turcica. Now it has three lobes: anterior lobe, posterior lobe and intermediate lobe. You can see in this figure. Now a detail about these three lobes. Anterior lobe, it is divided into pars distalis, pars tuberalis and pars intermedia. Okay, pars intermedia, it is absent in humans, but the bulk of this lobe, it is represented by pars distalis. Intermedia is the almost absent in humans. Now the posterior lobe, it is basically an extension of hypothalamus, okay? And the hormones stored in the posterior pituitary, these are synthesized in hypothalamus. Intermediate lobe, it is avascular and almost rudimentary in human beings, but it is present in the animals of lower species. This is about the histological features of pituitary gland. As we know that pituitary gland, it has two lobes, anterior and posterior. Depending upon these lobes, it is named as adenohypophysis, that is anterior pituitary, and neurohypophysis, that is posterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary, it has grossly two types of cells, chromophobes and chromophil cells. Chromophobes, these are the agranular cells and the precursors of chromophils, whereas the chromophils, these are granular cells. And depending upon the nature of granules, they are acidophilic cells, basophilic cells. Acidophilic cells, why these are named so? Because the granules of these cells, they stain with the acidic dyes like eosin. Okay. Now, depending upon the nature and the size of granules, these cells are further of two types, somatotropes and mammotropes. Somatotropes, they secrete growth hormone, that is also called as somatotropin, and mammotropes, they secrete mammotropic and the lactogenic hormones like prolactin. Basophilic cells, granules of these cells, they stain with the basic dyes. Okay. Now these are of three types. Corticotropes, they produce ACTH and beta lipotropin. Thyrotropes, they stimulate the activity of thyroid gland by secreting thyrotropic hormones like TSH. And gonadotropes, they secrete FSH and LH. Now about the folliculostellate cells, they secrete interleukins. So adenohypophysis or anterior pituitary, it is basically consisting of interlacing cords of cells and have abundant sinusoidal capillary network. You can see in this figure. And the endothelium of these capillaries, it is fenestrated. And the cells, they have granules of stored hormones that are secreted by the process of exocytosis. Regarding neurohypophysis, okay, we had seen in the previous figure that it is divided into pars nervosa and infundibular stalk. I talked about that. And pars nervosa, basically, it is a site of storage of oxytocin and vasopressin. That forms majority of the posterior pituitary. The cells of the neurohypophysis, these are pituitary sites. You can see here the glial cells, basically the supporting cells. And the axons of the neurons in the supraoptic and paraventricular nuclei of hypothalamus, they carry precursors of these neurohypophyseal hormones and end near the capillaries as closed terminals. Now, two reasoning based questions can be extracted out here. Why lower animals like reptiles change skin color in response to exposure to light and the environmental changes, but humans, they do not change color on exposure to light? We'll come with the answers of the reasoning questions at the end of the session. Now about the hormones that are secreted by anterior pituitary. First one is the growth hormone that increases the growth and development of tissues. Then TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, that stimulates the activity of thyroid glands to increase the secretion of thyroid hormones. ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone, it stimulates the adrenal gland to increase the secretion of corticoids. MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone, it increases the secretion of melanin. FSH, follicular stimulating hormone, it is involved in folliculogenesis and regulation of endometrial and ovarian cycle in females. LH, luteinizing hormone, it also regulates endometrial and ovarian cycle. Prolactin, it stimulates the secretion of milk from the breast tissue. Thank you very much. In the next class, we will talk about growth hormone.